Well, every day it gets worse, doesn't it? It's quite extraordinary. I wake up in the morning and I wonder what on earth the government is going to do to take away people's freedom next. It is really quite extraordinary. It's now coming up to the year's anniversary of when we were told that we would have to go under house arrest to save the National Health Service, but don't worry, it would only be for a couple of weeks. One of the big lies that government tells, historically a monster lie, if you will. Now this has been going on and on and on, and we've been in lockdown now for nearly a year, and we popped our head out very quickly, did we not, in high summer, but back in the box again we've been forced time and time again. We now see that the government has got the legislation fixed so that we're now going beyond July and into October. The levers of lockdown are in place until October, which bears in mind what I've been saying, does it not, for some time, that we are never coming out of this lockdown because it's got nothing whatsoever to do with public health. You can make your own mind about what you think it's about, but it can't conceivably be about health. We know that lockdown doesn't work. Why are they putting the levers of power in to continue it until October? But I want to talk to you something much more important now. I want to talk to you about this conspiracy between the Prime Minister and the Secretary of State for Health to make vaccines in inverted commas, because it's not a vaccine as we understand it, it's a new system, which may or may not work, we don't know, it's still experimental. They're going to make it compulsory for those working in the care sector. Now, you might be watching this, you might be thinking, well, I've had my jab, what's wrong with that? I'm okay with it. Well, let me tell you what's not okay with that. The fact is that if you decided to have your jab, you made your own risk assessment, personally, for you and your family, and you decided to have it or have it not. That was your decision in a free society and a freeborn Englishman or freeborn Englishwoman. You made that decision. Now there's a huge gulf between making something compulsory and what we're actually talking about here is still what is an experimental vaccine, compulsory for those people who've made that risk assessment and don't want to have it. Now let's look, shall we, at what the pharmaceutical companies say. AstraZeneca and Pfizer have been perfectly honest about this, one has to say. They've said, look, we're not saying that this jab is going to stop you getting the bug. We're not saying that. What we're saying is it should be not as bad if you take the jab, probably not as bad as it otherwise would be. They're saying it was not going to stop transmission of it, if transmission of it at all is possible. It won't do it. There's no guarantee for that at all. So there's two things here. There's no guarantee that it won't be transmitted even if you've had the jab. And even if you had the jab, there's no guarantee that you still can't get the bug. Maybe not quite as severe. What they've also said is because we don't know what the long-term effects are, and they've been perfectly frank and honest about this, we don't know what the long-term effects are. Because we haven't had time to test this virus over the 7 or 8 year period that we normally would. So it is not possible for us legally to guarantee the virus jab. We can't guarantee it. You have no legal comeback if in years to come you find that there are other things that turn up that we didn't know about. Now that's fair and honest. I don't take a great deal of issue with that. You make your risk assessment on that basis. They've been honest. Everybody's been fair. You've been fair with yourself. You've made your risk analysis. But you've got to understand the difference that compulsion makes. And at the moment it's for those in care homes. Half of which one might assume are young women, certainly women of childbearing age. And the pharmaceutical companies themselves are saying, well, for women of a childbearing or pregnancy or women that are pregnancy, we're not too sure about this. We probably recommend that you shouldn't have it. So this is an enormous step, and it's by government decree. Now it may be, you take the view that was criticised by Winston Churchill, that you hope that, you don't work in a care home so it doesn't affect you. You therefore hope perhaps that the crocodile will eat you last. But of course you could be a cab driver, a bus driver. You could be in any number of jobs, and it could be that the government suddenly decided that you're on the list now, that the jab is compulsory for you. So once they've let this out of the box, out of Pandora's box, they can't put it back in. It's now they're going to make it compulsory for you to have this jab. And there's no putting this back once it goes ahead. There's no justification for it. In fact, I believe it to be illegal under international law. And the Council of Europe, and this goes right back to the late 1940s, say that no government can give in a mandatory manner drug administration of any sort. It can't be done. You certainly can't inject somebody against their will. It's against part of the Nuremberg Understanding and our commitment to the Council of Europe and the European Court of Human Rights, of which we are still bound, believe it or not. Brexit didn't get us out of that one. It's a completely different system, and I'm not going down that route now. But that's something to bear in mind. It would not stand up in a court of appeal at the ECHR. Now, since my last video saying how frightened I was about this development, this coming development, I didn't think it'd be so soon. I didn't think it would be so obvious and so horrific that I have been negotiating with a trade union, because most people now aren't protected by a union. The unions have been gelded, and they've been gelded by their own stupidity and incompetence and their complete disassociation with the people they used to represent, which was ordinary working people, standing up for their members who were ordinary working people. They've disappeared now. They've disappeared. And never has there been a need more for a trade union than there is to this day. Absolutely necessary for you to be, if you're a worker in any field, doesn't matter whether it's health or care, whatever it is, you need to be protected. So I've spoken to a union about this, and I shall be coming back to you in a few days with an interview with the General Secretary of that union. And we're going to tell you how you can deal with this, what you can do, what your rights are to fight back against a bully boy employer that says you have to have a compulsory vaccine. How to deal with it. And it does involve you stepping up to the plate, I'm afraid. You can't hide behind the sofa and hope somebody else will do it for you. It will involve you, but you'll have all the backup, all the legal expertise that you need to fight this. If you are in employment and the boss is telling you you have to have this jab by a certain date or you will lose your job, we can help you nail him. More of this later, a few more days, and I'll have an interview with this General Secretary and we'll show you how you can go about it. So those people, hundreds and hundreds of people have already written to me, don't worry, I'm on the case, I won't let go, I'm like a dog with a bone, you can rely on me. As most of you know, my work is very heavily independently research based, and I get my information from all over the world. It would help if you press the subscribe button and the little bell next to it, because the more subscribers I have, the more likely it is that international independent research institutes will share their material with me. It's most helpful, and then of course I'll automatically share it with you. So, surprise, won't cost you anything. Thank you very much.